Hi guys, a very good morning. Mamukase. So for the past few days, we've been hearing and seeing the clashes between the ZANU PF people and the Zambian people. Joseph Kalimbwe had to respond to Patrick Chinamasa on the issues regarding the death of a former president and also the death threats which were issued for the current president. Let us hear what he had to say.
I'm young, I don't understand the historical politics of where we're coming from. And when I defend our what I say is based on ideologies. What I say is based on the ideological narrative that people are pursuing. But to come and mock our country based on the passing of our president, that was wrong. And then we saw another Nikom come here to say Mwanawasa died because he was trying to affect the regime change. Therefore, Hichilema is going to go through the same stuff. These are people that are completely out of touch with reality, with the political history of where we are coming from. They can't even articulate, the economies of our nations. And so when we dispute that, it is not that we're trying to cause confusion. There's never going to be war between our two nations. Our two nations have always stood side by side, supporting each other by means of trade. And we must resolve our issues diplomatically. But if people are saying wrong things, they must be corrected. It is wrong for somebody to come here on Twitter and mock the death of our president. President Levi Patrick Mwanawasa, the third president of our country, was one that led the pioneering of Zambian manufacturing jobs. That the Zambian economy was once more able to stand on its own 2 feet. The roads of our country were being constructed under the Mwanawasa regime. And our people remember him for that. And so for Patrick Chinamasa to come on Twitter and say those things, it was unfortunate. And therefore we must call him out to say this is wrong. We have lost 2 presidents before, and we know the pain of losing a head of state. For somebody to come here and say those things because of politics, because they want to drive a political narrative, we must correct that. And that is why you see me on social media speaking about these things, not just on social media, but also engaging our people to say, look, our president has been in power for 2 years, but it must not mean, our people must not mistake that to believe that everything that was said, the change is going to arrive at a lightning speed. There's been damage for 10 years. You don't expect that damage to be fixed instantly. But also we must engage in the politics, not just here at home, individuals. That political parties will come and go. Nations will remain. That is why sometimes when I see something that is, I believe is not right, you hear me speak. And so what Patrick Chinamasa said was wrong. And what makes it even more painful is that 2 weeks earlier, he was at our state house. And then he went to the state house in Botswana. He was in Gaborone. I don't know what he was doing, moving around state house to state house. And what is even more painful is that 4 weeks later, he goes and insults the integrity of the Zambian people, the 20 million Zambian people, by mocking the death of our leader. And then after that, we are seeing other people come on social media to say, no, Kalimbwe is saying this and this is trying. These are people that are just trying to ensure that those that do not have the full knowledge of our political history are hoodwinked. Even
Joseph, whilst you're on that point, I want to ask you, that they accuse you of meddling in Zimbabwean political affairs. How do you push back against that?
Well, this narrative has been spread over and over again. They say you are meddling in political affairs. Look, I've got the freedom to be able to associate with whomsoever showed me kindness. Nobody is going to tell me you can't associate with one. When Fikile Mbalula comes on social media, he called me names in February. He was calling me names, Fikile. When Fikile says that, people don't say, no, Fikile is meddling in these things. When I speak about things that have to do with democratic reforms, no, Kalimbwe is meddling. No, Kalimbwe must not say this. When Fikile says things, Fikile is a revolutionary. He's supporting, he's against. Hey, no, you are supporting the white. People even come here to post pictures. Whenever there's a picture of me and the white person, then I'm a puppet. People come here to look for whatever pictures are on social media, whatever pictures are on Google with a white person, and then they say, no, I'm selling out. Now, when we're fighting against this guy who was the Pan-African Parliament president, there's been all this political rhetoric being spoken about. And so you can't have double standards to say when somebody supports you, they're revolutionary. When somebody supports democratic reforms, then they're meddling and they're puppets. No, we can't say that. Edgar Lungu was in Harare about 3 to 4 days ago. When he came, it was like a day before. A day before, Patrick Chinamasa went on social media to insult the death of our third president. And I said here, and even on Facebook, everywhere, I've been very consistent in terms of my political beliefs from the very start to the end. I said, look, when you insult the death of our president, a man who helped rebuild the Zambian economy, a man who helped create a next wave of Zambian manufacturing jobs, when you insult his death and say he died because he was meddling into the affairs of another country, then he's insulting the integrity and the collective intelligence of the Zambian people, politically or otherwise. But Edgar Lungu decided to get on a plane to go to Harare to the very same people and smile with the very same man that he insulted our country. How do we take that? And when you come here, when I come here to talk about things, people, they unleash all sorts of political insults. They say all sorts of things without having any shred of intellectual wisdom to understand where things are coming from. Even this guy that is in Kenya, they come here and say all sorts of things. But what we are doing is that this country, Zambia, will continue to defend the integrity of our country. We'll continue to defend that which Kenneth Kaunda left for us. And part of the principles that Kenneth Kaunda did is that he formed the frontline states. The frontline states was Kaunda's, pedigree. When he formed the frontline state, he helped Zimbabwe be liberated. The entire SADC region was liberated from Lusaka. Liberation movements were set up camp in Lusaka, here in our nation's capital. That was a vision of Kenneth Kaunda. When the frontline states was formed, it was that we must fight apartheid South Africa. There were other people that stood against Kenneth Kaunda to say, no, Kaunda is interfering in other nations. And even here at home in Zambia, there are people that don't respect Kenneth Kaunda as much. Why? Because they feel Kaunda interfered in other people's interests. But Kaunda was clear. He was unequivocal in his political conviction that Zambia's freedom is not complete until the entire SADC region is fully free. That's what he did with the frontline state. Even before, if you look at the political history, before the frontline state, there's what they call the Lusaka Protocol, which was formed in 1979. The Lusaka Protocol was formed to ensure that the entire region, when Zimbabwe was fighting, when ZAPU forces were going either to Mozambique or to Lusaka, Kaunda was clear. Even when SWAPO was here, set up who continue to speak the truth. And that the truth will set us free. And that the freedom to speak the truth shall never be denied. That is my take.
That's they want you to respond to, and it's pertaining to a post that you did put out on the 6th of September 2023, where you said, lose the trip of PF members. And you went on to list Lubinda, Nagachinda, Mamba, hijackers of Sata's party to Harare. There could be external forces trying to undermine our Zambian democracy with Lungu's help. These forces will fail. So the question that is coming from the person that has sent me that is, what do you mean by that?
Look, comrades, compatriots, we have always been speaking collectively and unequivocally within the region, within the SADC context, to say we must support each other in democratic reforms and in any way whatsoever. When these issues began, I personally felt bad because I've seen my country make good decisions and bad ones too. I've seen Zambian presidents come and go. I might be quite young. People might say you are just a 93. They say a lot of things. But I was old enough to live through some of these Zambian presidents. I've seen Zambian presidents make good decisions and bad ones. Mana also made good decisions for the interests of our people. And then followed, after he passed, they followed Rupiah Banda. After Rupiah Banda, Michael Sata came in. And then Edgar Lungu, and then now our leader. These political steps that were taken by our country must be respected. But when somebody insults our nation's third president, what predecessor, says Mwanawasa's death was as a result of his interference into the affairs of another nation, that is wrong. And then we saw the sixth president of Zambia go there and sit on the same table with Chinamasa, smiling with the very same man that came here on Twitter to insult the collective intelligence of the Zambian people. And so when somebody says, what do you mean? Edgar Lungu has been trying to cause havoc ever since the return that he got. He was on the copper boat. He's been saying, let's be clear that our differences must be political, must be ideological. We must never go for character assassination as a people. And this shouldn't just apply to Zambian politics, but to the entire regional politics. We must debate and agree to disagree. And so when those things were happening, my argument was that why is it that you're going to sit on the very same table to smile with the very same man that mocked the death of our nation's third president? That was what my argument, very important role in the total liberation of the SADC region. Under the Kaunda regime, Zambia was bombed to free SADC.